Hi everybody, it's Ellen again. Thank you so much for coming back to visit me. I want to do a big, huge shout out to Money Mom for sending all you wonderful people over here to my channel. I appreciate you all so very much and taking your time to come and visit me and watch my videos. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. And it's something that a lot of us struggle with as we get older, and even younger people struggle with it. So I just wanted to see if maybe some of these ideas might work for you. Okay, so I'm talking about maintaining and controlling our weight, especially as we get older. Okay, so here are some of the tips I would like to give to you that work for me, and maybe they'll work for you too. All right, so let's get started. Okay, one of the first thing that I do, now I have two plates here, okay? This plate and this plate. Now this is a regular dinner plate, and this is a salad or bread and butter plate or, whatever. I serve all my meals on this plate, and it keeps my portion size reasonable. Psychologically, it makes me feel like I have a very full plate, but my portion sizes are way smaller on this plate than on this plate. So that's one of the things that I do to try and maintain my weight. Now, as I've gotten older, I have put on a little bit of weight. I think that's a natural thing. I'm not as active as I used to be, unfortunately. I'd like to get back to that point, but as we get older, we just naturally slow down a little bit. At least most of us do. I did. Everybody's different. But anyway, so another thing that I do is I don't drink soda pop or things with a lot of sugar in them. And I've said this before in some of my other videos. I make my own beverages, and I use a sweetener. I don't use Splenda. I found that I like monk fruit with stevia. It comes in little packets. I forget what brand it is. If anybody's interested, leave me a comment below and I'll answer that question for you. But anyway, that seems to have a good flavor without all the little bit of a bitter taste that some of the stevias can have. Now, not all stevia is the same, but that's what I found that I like. And then I just put some 0-calorie, I'll buy the Torani flavors, fruit flavors, and I'll put a little bit of that in with it, sometimes with my herbal teas and sometimes just with water and ice. So I do that. I don't like to drink my calories. Now, not that I'll never go out and have a cocktail or something like that, but even that, I usually limit it to 2, and that seems to work for me. So even with wine, I like wine, I drink wine, but I limited it to 1 or 2 glasses. So that's what I do. When I go to a restaurant, I've talked about this before too in a different video. I believe it was What's in My Purse. I have little sweetener drops that I take with me, and I put them in my water, and I don't buy pop or anything like that. So that's one thing that I do to try and save calories and to maintain my weight. Desserts. Make your own. If you like chocolate cake, find a good recipe where you can use some of less sugar in it, or you can use, there's some of these sweeteners that you can also use for baking that cut down on the calories. Using maybe applesauce instead of a lot of oil in your baking. It gives you more control, And if you have a sweet tooth, you don't have to give up the things you love. Just find ways of cutting back on the calories that are inside the dish. Now, personally, I love chocolate. I love chocolate with nuts in it. That's my favorite. And I usually have a little bit every day with a cup of coffee, but I don't eat the whole bar. I'll eat a couple pieces of it, or, maybe three. Or even if I want a cookie, I'll have 2 cookies. I don't want to eat the whole box, but it satisfies my sweet tooth. So that works for me. That along with the coffee, because I do use creamer and flavored creamer in my coffee. Those 2 things together do satisfy my sweet tooth. In the summertime, I will make ice cream using avocados, bananas. I've made ice cream with kiwis before. I put a little tiny bit of coconut oil in it to keep it from frosting up and to keep it softer. And it makes a great ice cream. Later on, as the weather gets warmer and I do make some, I'll put up a video for that too. So that's one of the ways that I save calories. And the riper the bananas are, the sweeter they are. Again, if I need a little more sugar in it, I'll use either coconut sugar or unrefined sugar, just those kinds of things. Find what you like and use those ingredients in your cooking. So that's one of the things I do. I stop eating when I'm full. Even if it tastes really, really good, I may have another extra spoonful, but I will put the food away in the refrigerator after I serve myself and it's cooled. I will put the food right in the refrigerator, and it lessens the temptation to keep filling my plate with more food. So that's another thing that works for me. Having a drink of water before your meal. Or again, you can sweeten it, whatever your preferences are. That will help fill you up so that you don't eat too many calories. Another little trick you can do is to have your salad before your meal. That works real well. Try not to use a real fattening dressing. I always try and find a reduced calorie dressing that I like. My favorite is Aldi's reduced calorie dressing, the ranch, not the fat-free one, but the reduced calorie one, or I will make my own. So that's the best way to go, vinegar and oil, or you can use mustard in your dressings, and you can make some really, really tasty dressings that aren't a lot of calories, and eating that before your main meal will help fill you up. So I do that. Going for short walks during the day. I'm not one of these I love to exercise people, okay? For me, when I was younger, I did. But now that I'm older, not so much. So going for short walks, now that I do enjoy, especially if you have a dog or, you can take them for short little walks. That's what I used to do when I only had one dog. Now that I have 3, I can't possibly walk them all, so I can't take them with me anymore. But going on short walks, I really enjoy that. It's almost like a moving meditation for me. It clears my head. I can, commune with nature, and I really enjoy it. Find something that you really like. If you love to clean your house, that's great. Turn on the music and dance around when you clean. Nobody's going to see you, So that's something that you can do. I also try and do my trips upstairs. I have a 2-story house, so sometimes I'll purposefully not take everything up or down that I need to, just so that I need to make an extra trip up and down the stairs. So that's one little trick I play on myself. I do that. Let's see, what else? Making meals ahead of time. Now, I know this is nothing earth-shatteringly new, but what I will do, because a lot of times at the end of the day, you know, you start making dinner at 4 o'clock and you know, it's like, I don't really feel like it. What can I just grab and stick in my mouth? I try and make my meals earlier in the day. So in other words, if you're a person that works, you can use your crock pot more. You know, all those sorts of things. A lot of our ovens have timers on them. I remember my mother used to take a frozen roast in the morning and she would put Lipton onion soup on it, slice up some onion, and wrap it up in some foil, which I know foil isn't the healthiest thing, but you could wrap it in parchment paper first and then in oil, and then set the timer on her oven. And when we came home, we had a hot meal. That was way before crock pots or anything like that. So my mother would do that, and she did that a lot. You can do it with beef or pork or anything that's frozen because it will take that long to defrost. It's in the oven compartment already, so that insulates it a little bit. And that's what she used to do, and it worked out great. So that's one thing you can do. Making your meal, if you're at home, you work at home, you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're retired, you can make your meal at maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon and have it ready for when you want to eat your dinner. So that's one thing that I do a lot because I don't enjoy cooking in the evening. That's the time I really want to wind down. I'm not a morning person, but I seem to be the most productive in the afternoon. Then by later afternoon, I start winding down. So that's what I do, and that works for me. Okay, what else? Freezing my leftovers. When I make a meal, I try and cook for one. I usually don't have very good luck with that. I'm used to cooking for a family. So even if I have a recipe, if I cut it in half, it's usually too much for me. So what I'll do is I'll cut it into 2 or 3 portions, and I'll eat one portion and freeze, maybe have one for the next day and freeze the third portion. And that way I always have something in the freezer when I don't feel like cooking. So that's another thing that I do. I think that's about it. If you guys, what do you guys do to help control your weight, to make things a little easier for yourself during the day with cooking? And I know not everybody likes to cook, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You know, throwing something in a crock pot only takes 5-10 minutes depending on what your ingredients are, and you have a nice meal. And cooking for one, that's a little difficult for me, but I try and work on that as much as I can. So anyway, I just wanted to share these tips with you. Maybe there's something in there that you hadn't thought of that might work for you if you're struggling with your weight or trying to maintain your weight. And that's what I do. So anyway, I hope you guys will leave me a comment down below, right there, and hit the bell so you know when I post another video, and please subscribe to my channel. That's all below. I love hearing from you guys. I like when we have a conversation. I think it's just wonderful. So anyway, again, a big shout out to Money Mom. Thank you so much for sharing my channel, and that's all I have. So I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. There's one thing I forgot to mention that I think is important, and that is when I go out to the restaurant, I always only eat half my meal. Restaurants are notorious for giving you huge portions, and the calories are just way, way too much. So I will almost always get a box and take half home. It's economical because even if you spend, you know, $12 on a meal, you're only really paying $6 for each meal if you make two meals out of it. So that's a biggie that I forgot to mention, that I always do. And I ask them for a box, I divide it in half, and half goes home with me. Okay, again, I'm sorry I forgot to mention that one, but I thought it was important, so I'm just going to add that as a little trailer here on the end. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for watching.